And just a quick aside here, as we're still got about 100 kilometers to go to our final approach at Mozdok. There was probably a lot that I could have done just to avoid having to crash in a bunch of flames. I was thinking that if I followed him in on his attack runs, that I could have helped him out a lot. Also, if I had just engaged them initially instead of doing that roundabout bit that I did, like the turn back and then re-engage, that might have worked too. But 2 was all too happy to dive in and lose his altitude advantage and get right in where the Frogfoots wanted us to be, low and slow with their R60s, and maybe they even had R73s. But yeah, we've still got our missiles and our body and our aircraft, so I guess that's just, one thing to check off for the next mission. You can always get new wingmen in DCS, thank gosh, but it'd be a shame if we ourselves had to punch out there. But yeah, so about 97.5 kilometers to go to Mozdok. I will see you on the final approach. Okay, we're about 46 kilometers away from our the start of our final approach, and well, it seems that we are cleared from Reskat's control and we are good to go land at Mozdok. So let's start thinking about our approach checklist. Gear and flaps down. Let's say flaps down below 450, gear down below 400. And we're going to land with the air breakout, obviously, so we can keep our engine RPM high in case of go-around, sort of just like the A-10 when you think about it. And oh goodness, the autopilot's really sending us for a loop here. I'm going to disengage the autopilot and cut the throttle and pop the air brake here. But it is right, we do want to descend down around 2,000 meters, which is about 6,000 feet. And then for our final approach, we'll make it nice and long. So we can get as much of a good lock on the PRMG or the ILS as we can. Now I could have the autopilot fly it down, but that's not too exciting, is it? Alright, go ahead and suck that brake back in. Start a more gentle descent instead of throwing our nose at the ground. Maybe try leveling with the horizon, that would be a good start. Bring our throttles back up. And yeah, I do recognize this part of the map. It's really, really, really flat. But there are some nice rivers to punctuate it, and occasionally a small hill like that. But it's pretty empty. There's not a whole lot of towns in the cities like there is down south. In fact, that is Mozdok. So we are continuing to descend as we line up for our final. Let's go ahead and call into our ATC.
Ассистент, 131, возврат. 131, ассистент, следуйте курсом 1-6, удаление 1-1, давление 746,4,2, посадочный 2-6, занимайте высоту круга.
Alrighty, we are about to turn on to final here. Let's go ahead and pop that air brake out. We are a bit high. We're 5 kilometers out. Try a little bit of a drastic maneuver here and get our altitude down to the recommended altitude for our final, which is 1,100 meters, roughly 3,000 feet, 3,500 feet. Go ahead and zoom in on our head down display there. 2 kilometer range, okay. We're below 400, so let's go ahead and go gear down and flaps down. Trim nose up. Goodness, this thing needs a lot of trim. We're a little bit overshot. That's okay. Alright, so we've intercepted our glide slope information. So all we have to do is follow the circle in the HUD. Not particularly difficult. Getting the trim nice and right is going to be a little bit of a challenge, though. Okay, and I'm in fact going to suck in the air brake, because in theory we should be able to do this without it. The trouble was just slowing down initially. Okay. So this is a game of matching the circles, as it were. We're a little low on the glide. That's okay, we can come back right up and get it as we stay level to try and bring the glide slope down to us. Alright, cleared for visual, contact tower. So let's go ahead and request landing. I'm sure we'll get a reply soon enough out of the ATC. Might have to ask him one more time once we get a little bit closer. 7.5 kilometers ought to do it. Alright, let's try.
131, ассистент. Посадку разрешаю. Посадочный 26. Ветер у земли 241. Скорость 7 метров в секунду.
Alright, we have a slight headwind at 7 meters per second. It's coming in off of our, basically off of our left HUD bar there. And it's a little bit of a right-hand crosswind. Alright, there's our first beacon, outer beacon. Power off a little bit. Just trying to make sure that we're not coming in too slow. It's got a estimated, like, suggested speed for you to come in at it. And I think 250 is just way too slow. But maybe because of the headwind, we might be able to manage it. Alright, let's go ahead and pop the brake. Brake is coming out. Flare. Throttle's in. A little bit heavy on the flare, but better than none. And just let it come right in, settle down. Aero brake at the nose. Okay. Let's go ahead and go flaps up. And nose down. Beautifully. Alright, so once we get clear of the runway, that's going to do it for this mission. Stay tuned for more, as we will be continuing this campaign 100%. Definitely seems like something worth trying. So, once we taxi clear, we're going to call it there. And we landed with more than enough fuel, so I'm happy with that. I landed with some missiles to spare. Well, of course, there were only 4 targets, and we only took out 2. And our poor wingman, we're gonna have to go collect him with an MI8. But hey, that's just that's the way the cookie crumbles, as it were. So.
131. Заруливайте на стоянку.
Alright, stay tuned for mission number 2. And fly safe, and I will catch you next time.